Hello everybody and welcome to the short video on LPI, the Linux Professional Institute. The LPI originally started as a certification setting body focused on Linux. It has now evolved beyond that and is setting certifications for open source technologies in general, and also in the process of transforming to a membership based organization. So LPI is unique in the sense that it is driven by its members and participants from the open source community in setting its objectives and its exams certifications that it wishes to pursue. And this is one of the things that differentiates LPI from other certification bodies out there and corporates that are pushing their certifications, is that it's very much community driven. And this is why we like LPI so much, because it's more in the ethos of open source, right? A community based contributors working together to build something that benefits everybody in general. Now LPI is most famous for its Linux certifications, LPIC 1, 2, 3. But we're going to switch now to the LPIC website and have a look at the other certifications that they have and work through the LPI certifications. And then what we'll have is videos which will take us through the objectives for LPIC 101 and 102, which makes up the first rug of the LPI or the Linux certification stream in the LPI suite of certifications. So if we have a look at the certifications, we can see that they have Linux Essentials. Linux Essentials says it all in its name, is aimed at people that are new to Linux to become familiar with Linux and feel comfortable using Linux and the command line. And also understanding things like the GPL, how licensing works, etc. The mainstay of LPI, or the Linux Professional Suite or stream of certifications, starting with LPIC 1 for become a Linux administrator, LPIC 2 Linux engineer. Then at level 3 you can specialize. So for example, you have mixed environments. This is running Linux mixed in a Windows environment. So maybe use some before as an Active Directory controller, or having a Linux server register as a domain member in an Active Directory tree. LPIC 303 covers security. This is more about hardening Linux servers rather than in-depth cybersecurity. It's more about how you can secure and ensure the correct permissions, etc., are set in your Linux server to prevent accidental leakage of data, right? And to also make sure people only get access to what they need to have access to. And then lastly, we have virtualization and high availability. Now LPI does follow a process of reviewing its certs every 2 to 3 years, and setting new objectives and updating the objectives. So I know currently LPIC 304 is in the process of being split into 2 certifications, taking high availability and splitting out the virtualization component of it. Because now, for example, you have containers, etc. There's been a lot of change in this field, and this is one of the things, right? There's a lot happening in in technology, a lot of changes that are happening quite rapidly, and to keep up with them requires community participation, so the community can provide direction to LPI and tell them what's important for them as a system administrator, rather than from what's important to them as a corporate. The other stream that they introduced, because as I said, LPI has transformed now just from focusing on Linux to focusing on open source in general. And the first certification introduced that was focusing on open source in general was a DevOps tool engineer. This covers things like continuous integration, continuous delivery, looks at all the different open source tools that exist around that around the DevOps practice. Now, with all these certifications, especially like DevOps, there can be many different tools. It might be Chef or Puppet or Ansible, for example, for configuration as code. In the exam, they focus on Ansible, and people should realize that when they do these certifications, maybe your favorite tool is not there, but in general, it's trying to get to the principles you need to know to become a good DevOps engineer. Usually, obviously, they're going to select the tools that the community indicates to them are the most widely used in practice, right, in business. The BSD Specialist Certification, this is the LPI working together with the BSD Foundation with the certifications. Previously, you could write the BSD certification, but it was paper-based and you would have to write it at a conference. Now with LPI is helping them get quality control in place around the certification, and also helping them with exam delivery so people can write it anywhere in the world. In our next set of videos, we are going to be looking at the Linux administration. Now both LPIC 1 and LPIC 2 actually consist of 2 exams, right? So if you want to get to finish level 2, you're going to write 4 exams. So in LPIC 1 there's 101 and there's 102, and in LPIC 2 there's 201 and 202. If we go through to the page dealing with LPIC 101 or LPIC 1, we are going to see that the best thing to look at is the exam objectives for each one of these courses, right? So there's LPIC 101 exam topics and LPIC 102. We are going to start looking at LPIC 101 exam topics, and this is also generally a good idea when you're studying for these exams, is to go through objectives and have a look at them. If we scroll down, we're going to start in our next video with topic 101.1, determine and configure hardware settings. In general, when you're going through these course objectives, you'll see there's a weight. This weight tells you how important this particular topic is in the exam overall. So some of these things might have a weight of just 2, but I mean, you could spend a whole course just understanding better how the Linux kernel works, for example. So this is what we're trying to say. You just need to be aware and have an understanding of the concepts of how the Linux kernel works. But we'll explain more about that in our next video.